Bred to Win, brought to you by Inglis Digital, the tried, trusted and reliable market for online sales.
Hello, I'm Caroline CSC. Welcome to another spring edition of Bred to Win. Coming up, a wrap of this week's Spring Carnival success stories and who bred, bought and sold them. We head to Kitchwin Hills and see a wonderful outcross stallion, the unbeaten 2-year-old and dual group winner Graff. And photographers capture all the beauty of our favourite racehorses, stallions and mares. So hear from well-known snapper Bronwen Healy in Arrowfield Studs, the horse who made you love racing. First though, the latest from the thoroughbred bloodstock world in the Aushorse news of the week.
Incentivised kicks at the 150 from Tavane.
Saturday's Australian Group 1, the Makybe Diva Stakes at Flemington, saw a Queensland Winter Carnival star reach his elite potential as Incentivised held off the strong finishes of prior Group 1 winners Mo'unga and the Cox Plate winner Sir Dragonet. The son of Seamus Award is from the Iglesia mare Miss Argyle, with Iglesia also sire of current champion Australian stallion Written Tycoon. It was a fourth Group 1 winner for Cox Plate winning 3-year-old Seamus Award, who we featured recently on Bred to Win and stands this season at a fee of $33,000 at Victoria's Rosemont Stud. Incentivised is a half-brother to Ardrossan, a son of Redout's Choice, who stands at the Chittix champion producing nursery Waikato Stud in New Zealand.
In the Congo, still in front. Animo on the outside is trying.
The feature at the Rosehill at Kembla meeting in New South Wales, the Run to the Rose, went to Godolphin's homebred Animo. The ATC Sires Produce Stakes winner is from Redout's Choice mare Animato, winner of the Australasian Oaks, CUNY Stakes and SA Sires Produce amongst her 4 group successes. Animo's sire Street Boss now stands at Darley's Kelvinside property in the Hunter Valley of New South Wales at a fee of $55,000 after a string of precocious stakes winners in recent years, including Hanseatic, Arcaded and more. It was a stellar stakes-winning Saturday for Arrowfield stud stallions, including, as mentioned, Animo being from a Redout's Choice mare and Incentivised, a grandson of Snitzel. 4-time champion Australian sire Snitzel had a Group 2 Quinella at Flemington, with Splintex beating Away Game in the Bobby Lewis quality. Splintex is from the O'Reilly mare Acquired, a close relation to star filly and successful broodmare Hips Don't Lie.
Oh, but still Mr. Mozart, 100 to go.
Snitzel's Mr. Mozart beat Blue Diamond winner Artorius in the listed Exford Plate. The son of Rip Van Winkle's Euro Angel is from the family of Libaz and Polish Knight. Snitzel currently leads the 2021-22 Australian General Sires list with earnings of $1.8 million early in the spring, and he stands this season at Arrowfield Stud at a fee of $165,000. Not a single doubt may have retired from stud duties, but his legacy continues with a Quinella in the listed Capped on Tebe Stakes. Crystal Bound beat home the Arrowfield sold Flying Evelyn, with the winner having previously finished second to Jamea in the Group 2 Percy Sykes Stakes.
No speak Alexander from Padders Galore.
And the Arrowfield success continued overseas with their French shuttler Shalar siring his first Group 1 winner at Leopardstown in Ireland on Saturday night. No Speak Alexander down star mares Pearls Galore and Mother Earth in the Group 1 Matron Stakes, while Shalar has returned to the Hunter Valley this season. The son of Invincible Spirit stands at a fee of $44,000.
And it is Poetic Flair, St Mark's Basilica.
While it's impossible to show all the great international racing over the weekend, another highlight from the Leopardstown meeting was Bob Scarborough bred St Mark's Basilica winning the Irish Champion Stakes, his 4th Group 1 success in a row. By Siuni from Bob's Wonderful Galileo mare Cabaret, St Mark's Basilica beat home three-time Group 1 winner Tanawa, and St James's Palace and English 2000 Guineas winner Poetic Flair. His half-brother Magna Gracia by Invincible Spirit, also bred by Scarborough, won the Racing Post Trophy and English 2000 Guineas and is standing his second season at Coolmore Stud in the Hunter Valley at a fee of $19,250. Scarborough bred another Group 3 winner at the Leopardstown meeting in Camorra, a son of Scarborough's Group 1 winning mare, Moralakana.
Now McAvoy gives the grey a bit of a nudge here, Classique Legend, and he quickly speared through the centre.
As he heads towards his goal of back-to-back wins in the Tab Everest, Classique Legend has trialled strongly in Sydney through the week. At the same time, Tyrrell Stud was celebrating the arrival of his new half-sister by Piero. Pinocchio herself, a half-sister to Racing to Win, has featured several times on BRED to Win, as she's not only produced Classique Legend, but also Hong Kong star Athero by Sebring. And since our story last week on Black Caviar and her highly promising daughter Invincible Caviar, the 3-year-old filly has been spelled for the spring. Trainer Peter Moody commented that Black Caviar herself only had a few starts at 2 and 3, and her main racing covered her 4, 5 and 6-year-old seasons. The unbeaten mare is expected to deliver her 7th foal in November, this one by champion Australian sire Written Tycoon.
Delalat on the inside there from Exotic.
The Inglis Graduate of the Week was another success story for the Inglis Online platform, with Delalat giving his ownership group, including racecaller Darren Flindell, a huge thrill, winning the Midway at the Sydney meeting that was transferred to Kembla on Saturday. The 2016 foal by Written Tycoon from Dancing Heather, a half-brother to Group 2 winning mare Heatherly, who was sold to Sir Owen Glenn and Paul Moroney for $1.6 million, is seen here at Newhaven Park in southwestern New South Wales. Originally sold for $650,000 as an Inglis Easter yearling to Shadwell Stud, he was sold through the highly successful Inglis digital platform at last year's early August online sale. Now trained by Nathan Doyle at Newcastle, overall Delalat has won 3 and placed 5 times in 13 starts and is guaranteed to bring more success for Darren Flindell and the ownership group. Bidding has opened for the current Inglis Online early September sale, with strong interest in News Girl, a daughter of Magnus, who won nearly $350,000 on the track. Among the 396 entries is the unreserved reduction of the Super Horse Trust, breeders of ATC Derby winner Angel of Truth. Time for a break on BRED to Win. Coming up, the Cambridge Stud Performance of the Week. And we head to Kitchwin Hills and hear from the always insightful Mick Malone about new season sire Graff and his barnmate Sooboog.
BRED to Win, supported by Prized Icon, a Group 1 winner of 2 and Derby winner of over $2 million, standing at Coringle Stud in 2021.
But Entriviere, the class is shining through, and Entriviere goes on to win the Scirocco.
The Cambridge Stud Performance of the Week was the wonderful New Zealand mare Entriviere's success in the Group 2 Scirocco Stakes at the Rosehill meeting at Kembla Grange. The daughter of the late Tavistock had already won the Group 3 Concord Stakes and King's Plate in New Zealand, and she was bred by trainer Kevin Gray and his wife Kathleen, and races for the Te Akau Buckle Up Racing Partnership. Entriviere's dam, Marcy's Belt, is a Golan half-sister to Lightfinger Stakes winner Adrift and Karaka Million winner Xiong Fen. And Entriviere's third dam is a half-sister to Cox Plate winner Maldivian. Cambridge Stud sorely missed the great Tavistock. The late son of Monsieur has 14 foals from his final season coming through as next year's yearlings, while he has a number of promising 3-year-olds in some of the best stables around Australia and New Zealand. With so many Australian mares carrying the blood of champion sire Dane Hill, his sons and grandsons close up, finding an outcross stallion is a great benefit to broodmare owners. Kitchwin Hills Graff is a great example of that. A son of Star Witness, he's standing his first season at stud, and he joins Sooboog, who has more big numbers coming through as new season 2-year-olds. You've always bred high-class stakes winners at Kitchwin Hills and have some very loyal buyers of your yearlings, but everyone's striving to breed a colt that does enough to earn their chance at stud, and you've done a great job of that with stallions coming from your farm.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, Caroline. It's been very exciting. Looking at this year, like there's foals hitting the ground by 3 stallions that were born and bred on the farm in Yes, 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 down there at Coolmore, Piarata at Aquis, and also Dubious at Aquis, and we've actually had a little Piarata foal born here already, and it's really rewarding, and I know all the guys that work for Kitchwin Hills, it's a big congratulations to them as well, just to have that level of horse off the farm at some of these big studs.
Graff sustains the run, one off the fence, takes the lead.
It's great to see Alan Bell's tough Group 2 winner and Group 1 placed Graff joining your small but select roster. Tell me how that came about.
Yeah, well, he's a stallion that everyone had an eye on Graff there at one point. And he was a horse that we were extremely interested to be involved with. Like one thing we've seen over the last, especially the last few years, is that as soon as you're an outcross stallion, your opportunity to produce that horse just seems to lift so much higher. When you can breed big numbers of the most prolific sire line in Australia in Dane Hill, so you can serve all those not a singled out mares and Snitzel mares and Redouts and Fastnet Rock mares and Exceed mares, your opportunity to become a sire is just so much higher, I believe. And if you have a look at Graff, what a great 2-year-old he was, and then a brilliant 3-year-old.
Graff moved up to neutrality, went on by.
And that pedigree, as you said, Star Witness, he's had a top first season sire already in Star Turn, so it's a really interesting sire line on its own.
Yeah, it is, and it's like Alan Bell said, it certainly has a place here in Australia now with Star Witness, and if you have a look at Star Turn and Graff together, quite amazingly similar. Both won high-class 2-year-old races. They raced at a high level. They both won the San Domenico. Both ran second in the Run to the Rose on the way to the Golden Rose. Star Turn then goes to Melbourne, and we stayed up and Graff stays up in Sydney, and he ran an absolute bottler in the Golden Rose. Like if you watch the run, one of the colt of the centuries in the Autumn Sun, who ran an amazing race in itself. But if you watch Graff in there, he was all but last to turn with the Autumn Sun and rattles home. He was the first 3-year-old to run in the Everest. Again, ran a great race on a heavy track. Then he goes to Melbourne and he runs, albeit 4th, but beaten a length and just under in 2 of the hot Group 1s in the Newmarket and the Lightning. So I'm extremely excited to have him. Not only is just a high-class racehorse, he's an absolute star of a type. He really suits, I think, what the market's doing.
Grabbed by Graff. Graff over the top.
And Chris Lees had done a great job with him. He then moved to Melbourne to Dan O'Brien. He was first up into the Caulfield Sprint, the Group 2, and so he was an elite horse at 2, 3 and 4, winning that Caulfield Sprint.
Yeah, correct. Undefeated 2-year-old. He won the San Domenico, which is a stand-making race as a 3-year-old. He won a Group 2 Sprint. He was Group 1 placed. He just really oozes what works in Australia. And not only that, whenever you use these first season stallions, it's really important that you get support in the ring. If you look at the ownership of Graff, with the likes of Australian Bloodstock, Kitchwin Hills and clients, and the little syndicates that Kitchwin buy for, I think if you look at the syndicate last year, we bought over 70 yearlings. So if you're wondering whether Graff has that commercial appeal as well, I think at 13,200, you don't have to ask too many questions. We'll be strong supporters, especially if they look like him.
And interesting too, looking at his dam side. Well, his dam, Dinkum Diamond, won 3 of her 6 starts, but she has Sunday Silence and Sir Tristram backing up that side of his page.
That's right. That's why he's going to suit so many of those mares that that work here so often, and he can cover those in big numbers.
And so while we know the Danehill, blood is so good here in Australia, it really is so beneficial for these stallions that don't have that blood to be able to be standing in Australia. I mean, the amount of mares that are now able to visit a horse such as Graff, it really sets him up beautifully.
Well, I just know myself when we're mating some of our young mares at Kitchwin, how hard it is to find stands that suit those sort of not a singled out, Snitzel, Redoutes, Exceed mares. But if you talk about it's all but an unfair advantage that they get this opportunity to serve those line mares when they're an outcross stand like Graff. Like if you have a look at 4 or 5 of the new kids on the block that are flying and are so commercial and people can't get enough of them. Like a horse like Capitalist, for instance, his best 2 horses are out of a Commands mare and a Redoutes Choice mare. Star Turn's best runners out of a not a singled out mare. Shalar's best runners out of a not a singled out mare. Flying Artie in Notorious's best runners out of a Redoutes Choice mare. Frosted, for instance, out of an Exceed and XL mare. And I think Maurice's best horse is out of a Redoutes Choice mare. So that it just gives them such a leg up that they get that opportunity to serve those mares in big numbers. We've all stood those Sons of Snitzel and Sons of Exceed, and they serve a huge place in Australia. But I do think that if we could find that outcross horse that can kick a goal, you're in such a good position because you get to serve what's the most prolific line in Australia in big numbers, which is Danehill.
Princess Spice hit the lead close home. Princess Spice.
Speaking of Snitzel on the other side, of course, Sooboog. Now, he's by a stallion who's definitely going to be a great sire of sires as a 4-time champion stallion, Snitzel, the full brother to Lightning Stakes winner Snitzeland. But he's done so well, hasn't he? I mean, he's standing at $13,000, but what a great first season he had as a first season sire.
Yeah, you won't get a more competitive year. I don't remember a year when the first season sires are fighting out 20 winners, So the fact he's had 10 winners from just 30 runners, I think he came in at 4th on the winners to runners numbers, which is a great result. He's just got so much to come. Like I know of so many of his nice horses that are with trainers that are raving about them and have just taken that little bit more time that they expected for different reasons. Birdsville's a really, really nice horse for Peter Moody. Unfortunately, or fortunately for Peter, who owned Birdsville, he sold him to Hong Kong for a big amount of money. A couple have gone to Hong Kong actually. He's just done a terrific job, and if you have a tick to the support that he's got just this year with his yearlings, like the repeat offenders of people that have them in the stable that are backing up and buying them again, from Gerald Ryan, Mick Price to Peter Moody, Paul Moroney, Kieran Maher. There's just big numbers of trainers that have come back to buy them, and they don't do that if they haven't got a nice one in their stable. Every year when you get those types of horses come off the farm, like an Everest winner and a Melbourne Cup horses, you find yourself, you're doing something right. We like to look at this game, we're very humble and enjoy your successes because there's plenty of times where you don't get those types of horses. But of late we have had some amazing results, and whether it's there's a massive lime deposit just up the road from here at Kitchwin Hills that I do think it plays a role. Like the water that we irrigate with, the troughs are full of that water and it's very high in calcium. I think it certainly plays a role in soundness when they leave here and they get that longevity of their race career. A lot comes down to staff. We've got some great young people here that get behind us. We've got unbelievably good clients that are supporting us year in, year out. And if they're not breeding those types of horses to give our brand the opportunity to sort of cop the limelight, if you know what I mean, you're not in this position. So a huge thank you to all the staff and a huge thank you especially to our clients because they do an amazing job.
I've loved my time at Kitchwin. I've sort of been involved with the farm since my arrival in Australia 5 years ago, and I've come on board as resident vet in the last couple of months. It's a great team to work for, it's a great environment, there's fantastic horses on the farm that I get to work with every day. So overall it's been a really, really good experience.
How does it translate? I mean, I know with certain things, whether it be the law or, being doctors or things like that, there are different sort of ways that people are graded, in their profession. How does it work for vets coming from the UK to Australia?
The degree is transferable. So it's the same qualification, the US, the UK, Australia, similar qualifications. So it's just a matter of transferring your licence over to an Australian licence, which is quite straightforward. So a lot of vets do migrate from overseas to come to Australia. There's just so many more opportunities, and especially in the thoroughbred industry for vets. So a lot of us do migrate over and just fall in love and decide to stay here.
And your major love, obviously, is the foals and dealing with the foals. Just tell us what's involved with that work. I mean, it's quite incredible to see these mares giving birth to these future racetrack champions, but it's really, really intense, isn't it, to make sure that foal is okay and keep tabs on it as it's growing?
Yeah, so the foaling process is quite risky for most mares. So it's something that we monitor closely, and we're quite heavily involved in the process to make sure it all goes well. And then there's a lot involved in the care of those foals through their young life, making sure any injuries or illnesses that we can treat and successfully manage before they go on to start their racing careers. So it's, there's a lot of work involved, and it's a big team effort on farm, and hopefully there's not too many of them I need to be too directly involved with. But there's certainly, we do see injuries and illnesses that we have to treat and look after in those young foals.
And the stallions as well. I mean, Graff, we're looking at in particular here as a first season sire. They do have to do test covers and, they actually have to learn what they're meant to do. What's your role in that?
So my role in that is sort of making sure that the mares that we send to him are ready. Obviously, a mare's not going to stand for a stallion unless we say she's in season. So I'm busy scanning mares ahead of the upcoming season, so I know that they're cycling and they're good to go. And it gives the stallion an opportunity to have a practice run, basically, and sort of figure out how things are done and what they need to be doing ahead of the season actually going, and they start covering a lot of mares every day.
Mick Malone and Pauline, we know they're absolute great characters of the thoroughbred breeding industry. How did you find that as an English girl coming across to a good old Aussie farm?
It was certainly quite different. The way things are done and the way people are quite different to the UK, but it's a very relaxing, laid-back environment. It's a really, really great team, really great environment, and people are just, I think, a lot happier and a lot more relaxed here than they might be in the UK. But it's been a good change.
Yeah, we're rapt to have Amy on board. She came via Richard McClanahan, and Richard's done a lot of work with us and pretty much set Kitchwin up for a long time there. And she's a brilliant vet, but B, she's just a lovely person with it, and she's got great knowledge. She specialises in the baby foals too and reproduction. That's where she's specialised all her work. She's been working with us over the last 2 or 3 years either way in the barn and doing some reproductive stuff, and she's just terrific, and we're so rapt to have her. And it's great because we've got a vet, 7 days a week, 24 hours at our call, and she's great to have that.
I guess the basic, the work you do on a thoroughbred stud farm, it just continues, doesn't it? And there can't be many more better places to be.
Yeah, certainly, Caroline, and albeit it is different times, probably from being here at Kitchwin Hills today in the beautiful sun, if this is COVID, well then, we're going pretty good, but it certainly has held up farm visits. So some of these first season stands just won't get the looks that they normally would get, which help make people make that decision that's the right type for my mare. And hence these sort of shows that you put forward, Carol, and they play such a role for people to be able to have a bit of a look from home and make that decision or help them with that process a bit more. But so we're rapt to have you here, and we're glad we could show you 2 lovely horses.
As we featured Graff and his sire Star Witness previously, our G1 Goldmine focus is on Sooboog and his 4-time champion Australian sire Snitzel. Looking at Snitzel and his son's top broodmare affinities amongst their stakes winners, and in Costa del Lago comes out on equal top, featuring in 16% of their Group 1 winners, including horses such as Sword of State, Summer Passage and Invader. Mares carrying the blood of the precocious speed-influenced General Nadim, crossed with Snitzel and his sons, also appeared in 16% of their Group 1 winners. Examples being Mr. Quickie, a son of Snitzel's Cox Plate winning son Seamus Award, Group 1 winning 2-year-old Sizzling, and I Am Excited. Also a nick of influence is that of Snitzel crossed with Red Ransom, which appears in 11% of his Group 1 winners, including star sprinter Trapeze Artist, Golden Slipper winner Estijab, and Silver Slipper winner Time to Reign, a grandson of Snitzel through his sire Time for War. Some great stats there on Sooboog and how to make that fantastic Snitzel blood work best for your mare. And Graff, what a great outcross stallion he'll be for Kitchwin Hills. Thanks to Mick Malone and the team. Coming up after the break in Arrowfield Studs, the horse who made you love racing, photographer Bronwen Healy with a great story I fully understand as someone myself who fell in love with racing through the great photos as well as the racetrack prowess of the champions Rancho Manicato and Kingston Town.
This segment brought to you by Arrowfield Stud, the brand worth its weight in gold.
The horse was Kingston Town. I came across photographs of him in Turf Monthly when I was at school. I fell in love with him instantly. I grew up in Canberra and it was really non-horsey, and I collected everything I could on him. I actually now live just around the corner from Kingston Park Stud, and David Haynes let us come here and record this here. I really love photographing on the racetrack. I think that you need to have strong, quick reflexes to be able to think on the run. For me, the horses are always the most important part. The standout horses for me have been Octagonal, Sunline, then Lonhro, Black Caviar, Makybe Diva, and more recently Winx. Other places I like to go to photograph is the pool, the beach, track work, anywhere where I can get a picture of a horse. Stallion work I really, really love doing. I've been doing it since 2008. Some of the really key stallions that I've worked with, which have probably helped define my work, are stallions like Redute's Choice, Snitzel, Not a Single Doubt, Lonhro, Exceed and Excel, and also some overseas stallions like Frankel and Invincible Spirit and Galileo. So for me, working for these horses has just been a dream. Working really hard on some new concepts, some new ideas with lighting. We did a really special series of pictures with Lonhro for his 21st, the studio work. And I really, really loved that. I really love documenting thoroughbred families, in particular some of the really fabulous brood mares. I've always had a passion for horses. It's what's important to me, and it's led to my photography. I hope what I've done is created a really important library of images which will be an enduring legacy to the industry and the horses that I love so much.
It's incredible the number of people encouraged into careers in the racing and breeding industry through the deeds of the great Kingston Town, and I'm sure there'll be a similar influx in recent years of kids who fell in love with the likes of Black Caviar and Winx. That's it for this edition of Bred to Win. Join me again next week as we head to Cambridge Stud in New Zealand and bring you their Royal Ascot star, Hello Youmzane. That's next week. I'm Caroline Searcy. I look forward to seeing you then.
Bred to Win, brought to you by Inglis Digital, the tried, trusted and reliable market for online sales.